So Nigerian protesters have promised to keep up their campaign, seeking justice for victims of police brutality, even as authorities announced the immediate disbandment of the anti-robbery unit that has long been accused of grave human rights abuses. Joining us on the show is one of the strong forces behind the Bring Back Our Girls. Also, she's the image behind the iconic photo of the Nigerian activist going around. Welcome with us, Aisha Yesufu. Good morning, Aisha.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Yes, good to have you on the show. Aisha, as of today, the Nigerian government have somewhat adhered to the demands of the Nigerian people, especially the youths, saying that they should disband the unit and that people should be released and there should be a complete, an independent unit to investigate and all that. In your view, is it time for us to pack up shop and go home now that our demands have been met?
In my view, I would say, so I'm not speaking for the movement. I mean, you know, the movement is a movement that have a life of its own, and it's a movement of the citizens. And like I did say, I've consistently said that, yes, I might have been that image that has been projected, but I am not the one organizing. I'm not the one who called for it. I joined, like every other Nigerian, we joined a call against injustice. But the thing is that they have adhered on paper and in announcement. But can I ask you, where is the execution plan? What is it? What is it that people can hold and say, this is what they're going to do? Where is the time frame? These are the things that are supposed to be done. Citizens are still being attacked. When the president was announcing that SARS had been disbanded the day he did, protesters were killed in Lagos. So where is the sincerity of purpose? Right now, as we are speaking, we are getting reports that protesters are being attacked. Hoodlums have been hired to attack protesters in Lagos, and they're right now being attacked and people have been injured. That's the report we're getting. Yesterday in Abuja, hoodlums were hired under the supervision of the police. They attacked protesters. Day before yesterday in Abuja, at the National Assembly, soldiers were brought in, not police, military. The president deployed military against protesters. So what is, and right now, protesters are still being arrested. Part of the demands is that all protesters should be let go. No, not single police officer have been arrested that have committed the heinous crime of killing people, maiming people, assaulting people. Not even one have been arrested yet, so that we know they're going to face prosecution. So where is the sincerity of purpose, I ask again? How are people supposed to trust when over the years they've consistently heard the same thing? This is not the first time that we've heard all of this. SARS has been disbanded and all of that, but nothing ever seems to happen. So let's stop saying that the government has made demand. The government hasn't made demand. They have done announcement to the people. They need to make announcement to the police who are giving out the brutality, and citizens are still yet in the brutality that they are looking to be ended.
All right, let me get you a few more questions. Go ahead, PC.
Yes, so we all know that it takes quite a while for policies to be implemented. And now that the presidency has said that they were going to meet the demands, the 5/5, don't you think it's time to, we should give them time? At least the protest should be laid to rest for a bit, give them time to see what comes out of it. Then if nothing is done, we can go back to the streets.
Right.
Why don't you say, let government do the things that we need to do now? I think you say in Nigeria, we have a culture of always siding with the perpetrators and always blaming the victim and always putting the victim on the line and emotionally blackmailing the victim. That's what we do. And right now, that's what we are doing. You're telling the protesters, oh, why don't you be this? The government has done an announcement. You should all go home. Can we kindly say to the government, release all the prisoners, not even prisoners, the protesters, release all the protesters that were arrested for protesting. Protest is not
that has been done,
That's one of the... No, it hasn't been done. Point of correction, please. It hasn't been done. We have a lot of people who are still in detention as I speak to you now. Right. My email is flooded with the number of, and people are still trying to get them out. So that hasn't been done. That's number one. There's also the issue of justice for all deceased victims and police brutality. Yeah, some states have started doing that. Abuja hasn't done any of that. Right. And if any of you saw when the Lagos State governor went to meet the president and he was explaining to him the demands of the people, when he came to that part, the president sniggered. He laughed. You understand? You can understand that for him it wasn't that. Then the third one, let's even say setting up an independent body to oversee the investigation and prosecution. That's not a huge policy change. Has that been done? So coming out to say that we've accepted this, nobody is going to believe that, because this is a government that says one thing and absolutely does
another.
All right,
Aisha, let me drive you to the welfare of those on the front lines, because we are worried about attacks on them. So if we are here putting a fight saying the police should be moved away from the protesters, but we have hoodlums taking over, aren't you worried for the lives of those protesters also?
There's never a time that anybody said police should be taken away. Never. Okay. The thing is that police are supposed to provide protection. That's what you do when you're going for a protest. You demand for police protection. You write to them. They come to protect. What we have is that police are the ones brutalizing the people, the protesters. And right now, under the supervision of police, they are brutalizing protesters. And let me tell you, this is an old script. They played it out in 2014. 2014, the Bring Back Our Girls movement were attacked by hoodlums, and while police were watching. And also, even these few protests that we've had, not just attacking us, shooting at us, tear gassing us, and coming after us, beating up our protesters, but also destroying their properties. In this protest, I've lost 3 tires. The first day on Saturday at the police headquarters, they used knives to cut every car. They cut 1 tire each. On Sunday, they did 2 to that. Come on. There are so many things we need to do. At the end of the day, it's not that the protesters are being unreasonable. The government should put things in place for them to see that indeed there's sincerity of purpose.
Aisha, please listen. I'd like to read this from the Tribune this morning. 5 things that they say we should know about the SWAT team that is created. So they said no personnel of the defunct SARS will be selected into the team. Number 2, no operations of the new tactical team will be strictly, the operations of the new tactical team will be strictly intelligence-driven. Number 3, members of the new tactical team will by no means embark on routine patrols. Members of the new, that's number 4 now, of the new tactical team are barred from indiscriminate and unlawful search of phones, laptops, and other smart devices. And 5, operatives of the new tactical team must be free of any pending disciplinary matter, especially those touching on misuse of firearms and abuse of human rights. Also, that their duty is solely to respond to robbery attacks and respond to scenes of weapon-related crimes. If these terms, as laudable as they sound, cannot, fulfill the yearnings of the EndSARS protesters, what exactly do we need? Is it to put it in a legislation, or what exactly are we asking for now?
Okay, so thank you for reading that out to me. I think you saw what happened. Initially, the IG of police came out to say that they are creating a new unit. SWAT is not a new unit. It has been there it has been there for years, and people quickly went back to dig up other links to show them this is where you talked about SWAT. So can you see where this trust is coming from? There's a trust deficit here, and we need to understand that. Then now they call it tactical unit, right? On the issue of phones being searched, they will not go into indiscriminate. Is this the first time you've heard that? If it's the first time you've heard that, that's not the first time I've heard that. I've heard that several times. For example, every IG that comes on board, they easily say to you, police are going to go off, they're not going to be doing this, their stuff and so they're going to go off the roads and everything. Does it really happen? It doesn't happen. At this moment, Nigerians should be worried and asking, who is in charge here? It is the IGP in charge of his men, or his men are in charge of themselves? And also, one very simple thing I'll ask you, people have been killed, protesters have been killed. Is there a single policeman, is there any of them that has been brought out to say, this is a person, this is a policeman who has killed and is going to be prosecuted? Have we had that yet, please? Maybe I haven't seen.
Right.
Okay, so I have 2 questions for you. First one is, if you don't trust the government, then is our protest going to end? Because whatever they say, you would find a reason to say they've said it before. How can the government, and this is you using this platform to send a message to government, what can the government do that would make you trust them? Because if they say we will release, you will say they've said it, they didn't do it. That's on one end. Number 2 is, having had discussions with law enforcers, the policemen, high-ranking, I'm sure you are aware that the police is highly ill-equipped to disperse crowd and to diffuse crisis before it happens. The only method they know how to do and what they have is a gun. So do you think it is possible for the IG of police, knowing that he did not give the policeman tear gas, to arrest a police officer that uses a gun to defend himself? Like, let's be realistic in what we're expecting. We know they don't have tear gas. So how do you think the IGP will now arrest a policeman when he knows he did not give the man equipment? What would you want him to do?
Sometimes I think in Nigeria we have been so abused. We are in an abusive relationship with our government, and so we try to side with the abusers. From your question, that's what I get. So how do we make the police okay with the fact that they kill people? There is nowhere where it is said you should go ahead and kill protesters. Nobody gave them that right. The protesters that we've had, they have been peaceful. Police are supposed to be law enforcers, but police have turned to lawbreakers. So the issue of us making excuses and enabling the bad behavior of our policemen and women has to stop. This culture of brutality that we have given them, and we are trying to legitimize them by making excuses for them. And by the way, let me tell you, excuses are like shoes, and you always find the one that fits. It doesn't go.
Please let me just clarify. I'm not making excuses for them. I'm asking that we address it. Because if we don't address it, it's as if we are ignoring what is visible. So address the reality of the fact that police are ill-equipped and they are fighting back wrongfully, but let's address it. What would you have the IGP do in this situation? I'm not accepting it, because we are all potential victims of this.
Are you done?
Yes, please go ahead.
Because I'm ready to give, so that when I start talking again, you don't interrupt me. I'm ready to allow you finish your thought.
Yes,
so that
please
when
go
I'm
ahead.
talking, you allow me to. That's fantastic. Like I said earlier, excuses are like shoes, and we always find the one that fits. In terms of welfare, there is no place where the police in this protest needed to protect themselves. They didn't. The police were the aggressors on this one, and we are talking about EndSARS. I've been on several protests. I've been on protests where police will escort you the way we've done. There was a time we did series of protests for 1 week. We even gave the police roses for their job. I've been on protests where police will brutalize, and it all comes from the orders that they were given. It has nothing to do with whether they are equipped or they are not. And one of the, if I may also say, one of the demands, out of the 5 demands, is based on the welfare of the police. And also that's what the protesters are asking for. We need to have, we know our police, they are on the equipped. The intelligence unit is not working the way it used to be. Everywhere in the nation is the same thing. And that's why consistently, beyond EndSARS, we've always asked for good governance. But this must not be excuses. It's like, for example, we have doctors begin to kill patients, and then we say, oh, our doctors are overworked, they don't have equipment, that's the reason why they are killing patients. Those are excuses, they're not going to work. But there are few simple things. In this case, what was the essence of police using water cannon on protesters? What was the essence of police shooting live bullets? I was shot at on Saturday. I walked out when they tear gas, they used live bullets on me. They used this thing. How I was not hit up to now, I do not know. But let me go to the first part of the question that you asked for, which was to say, what is it that you see? And in answering that question, you did give the answer. It's action. Let's see it on ground. It's not the talk. It's not just to come on TV and say, okay, we've done this A, B, C, D, E, F. No, we are going to do this. It's to say, let's begin to see those things. And I've just read that certain things for you. There's no way you're going to tell me that people went on a protest and they decided to shoot and kill people when they were unprovoked. The police you were talking about, you were speaking on behalf of the police, saying they were defending themselves. They were not defending themselves. They were just attacking our protesters.
Aisha, we're all here during Occupy Nigeria, where it seemed that political elements took over and were somewhat supporting this protest at the time from the background. Many are speculating that this protest today could be actually be pushed by the political class, especially when we recently were told by that the governor of Borno State was saying, please, the EndSARS should come over to Borno to come and help fight Boko Haram. In your view, could this easily be turned to some kind of a political agitation?
For me, I don't do all of those theories where people are we focus on non-issues. You know, Nigerians, we major in the minor. rather than focusing on the major. The thing is that what are the issues on ground? Are they real? Are they affecting Nigerians? That's what we should be focused on. Most times we focus on motives. Oh, I see someone say, oh, the protest has been hijacked, it's been monetized, it's been this. For me, that's the way I do my thing. I don't focus on any of those things. I focus on the issues on ground. Right. Do we have police brutality? As we are speaking right now, is it going on? Even beyond the protesters and at home, that's it. Is it injustice we are fighting? That's it. Is it bad governance? Whatever it is, are they there? That is what should concern us, rather than whether politicians or not politicians with this topic. Everybody has a right to speak. Anybody wants to join, as that's my own personal opinion. It might be different from other people's. That's their own business. But what we should focus on are the issues. And right now, the singularity of purpose is that they should end police brutality, and that's it.
Okay. All right.
However, wherever, let's get that done. Let's be citizens in Nigeria where our lives matter.
Right.
All right, ma'am. Police brutality is not the only issue that's happening, because we're getting reports right now that there's chaos in Alausa. Hoodlums are actually attacking protesters as we speak right now. Are you not worried that some people, I don't know how to reach the minds of those young people, because they are also young people. It seems like we are divided. Is there any way we can reach the minds of those young people to make them understand that this fight is not just for one set of people, but for everybody, so that they can stop what they are doing?
Okay, so I think I need to come back a little bit so that we all would understand what this protest is all about, from what I've seen, what I've observed. And I over the time, since this thing started, I've been treating as the Nigerian government to say, look, don't treat this protest the way you've always treated other protests. Use the police doesn't work, use thugs and all of that. This is a protest for survival. Most of the other protests we have are protests for empathy. And Florence Ozo was the one, Barrister Florence Ozo was the one who made me to really understand that, when she said, all this while that we've always been protesting, it's been about empathy. You feel, something is happening and people come out. But this one, the young people are on the street because they want to leave. They are being killed anyway. So when you come to them and say, oh, hoodlums are doing this, they will tell you, is that not what is happening to us? Is that not what the police they're doing to us? I mean, you go to watch football in a viewing center, you're killed, whether you are at home, whatever you're doing, you just finished football training, you're going home, you're standing in front of your house, you're being killed. So there's a difference. And these are youth who are educated, who have been deprived by their nation, whom we haven't given enabling environment for them to thrive. Yet, in their own little niches, they are finding places and they're thriving, they're working hard. And we come after them because we do not understand that the generation is different from ours.
Right.
We come after them and simply say to them, why do you have A, B, C, D?
Right.
So there's a need for us, until we understand that this protest is different from the other protests.
Right.
We will not get it right. And government will keep doing the same thing that it did before and never gave any result.
Great.
Aisha, a woman after my heart. A lot of issues are bedeviling our country, and our youth cannot continue to, keep quiet in the face of all of that. How many more issues are we willing to put our face on like this? We have insecurity up north, is terrible. There's a very wide gap of poverty up north, especially up north, with the IDPs and all of that. How many more issues? Bad roads in Badagry, for instance, at the gate of our country. A lot of other issues, and lack of electricity, bad schools, crowded classes, a lot of failing infrastructure around us. How many more issues are we willing to put our face on?
The thing is that all the issues, we can tackle them now. The youth have taken EndSARS. It affects them personally because they are being taken out, they are being wiped away, they are being profiled and killed. So they are doing that, right? I'm in my late 40s. I'm 46. I'm going to be 47 in December. Can my age mate look for one thing to carry and take it on? Another group, we could all do that. Nigeria is a country of sometimes they're now saying about 220 million people. We're the most populous black nation. We're the most populous nation in Africa. But guess what? When it comes to our protests, we're the scantiest nation in Africa. This is the time for us all to take on issues. The youth are fighting this thing because we have a lot. And it pains me and the fact that we failed them. if we had given them, if we had fought for Nigeria, if we had fought this fight for them, they wouldn't be here doing this today. And so while their counterparts are fighting for different things, better life, they're not even fighting for basic amenities.
Right.
They're just fighting for the right to live. And even in that fight and that demand, they are still being killed while they're doing it. And that's absolutely wrong.
Right.
So you've become the face of this struggle, and it's an inspiring image. It's an inspiring image that I have shared, a lot of people have shared, because we connect to the struggle. However, I wanted to address this because many people will throw it up. They are throwing up the case of money coming into this campaign. I feel that there's no money in it. I feel that I know people personally that have gone into this without any incentive, just for their life. But you have a platform right now to address the bits and pieces of information coming out that, somebody is funding them, it's a political funding, they've gotten paid, there is food, there is water, there's organization. So can you just help inform people about how the money is coming in, or if you have no idea, what would you say to those complaining that it is funded by other people behind the scenes?
You know one thing, one of the things I would like to say to them is that I've never seen a protest where they never said it was funded. I've never. This have been in Nigeria. I mean, people will do anything to justify their cowardice. They will justify staying at home and not coming out. They will justify, because the only way they can be able to say that the reason why we didn't join the protest is because of the fact that it's being sponsored or one thing or the other. These are Nigerians who are crying, and Nigerians are sponsoring themselves. Nigerians are bringing money together. They are sending him whatever it is they can. Money, food, everything. They are organizing. They're doing, they're crowdsourcing, and they're saying that they're going to stay on the street and fight.
Right.
So for anyone that is looking for something to justify not coming out, this is not it. On this one, Nigerians own it. And if you're talking about the food being better, it's people. And this is the power of the people. If we come together, 1,000 naira, 500 naira, put it together, it becomes something, and they use it for collective food. And that's what they're doing. I'm fighting for the rights of all Nigerians.
Aisha, I have to let you go in a moment, but I have to ask you this question. Are you worried that this might degenerate into a revolution?
I'm absolutely worried. You understand? I'm petrified. I'm worried. And for me, I'm looking at it. Look, they should not think this is the normal protest that they have seen before. The government should not use high-handedness. The government should be a human face. Come out, eat the humble pie. Come and meet them. Sorry, not just to say this thing. And you know, there's that we've over the years be condescending and patronizing of the youth, that we think that, oh, these are just children. No, they are not. They are adults with rights in Nigeria. Let the government come out and tell them and begin to put in action what they want to do. Let them see it being acted, not just being said. Enough of the rhetoric, not just being said, but acting, because really, this could go beyond anything that any of us has imagined.
Thank you very much,
Because
Aisha.
they have been brutalized for too long, and they just want to live, and they are fighting for their lives. Their back is to the wall.
Thank you very much, Aisha. Thank you for joining us this morning. We appreciate your views this morning. We'll be speaking with Aisha Yesufu. She's one of the forces behind the hashtag Bring Back Our Girls, and also the image, the iconic image photo of the Nigerian activists going around in our country.